talk about. So specialists, when to get specialists in? When do you need a specialist for something? For a piece of work on your refurb project or your property business, whatever that is. Most of us think that we're the only person in our business can do that job and no one can do it better than us. And I go right down to keeping the books, keeping a record, doing your VAT return, your VAT return, even decorating, which is a skill, by the way. A lot of people think that if you can piss, you can paint, but for me, I'm always outsourcing that. A, because I hate doing it, and B, I'm not very good at it. We're going to do same with a QS for a quantity surveyor. When do we need a quantity surveyor? When do we use an architect? When do we need a structural engineer? Even interior designers. So we've got to look at these specialists and what they bring to our world, what benefit we bring to our world. This has come to light because I am currently doing we're calling it the bank job, doing a conversion of a bank, but not commercial to resi. It is commercial to commercial, so it's a bank into a chip shop. We came across the vault yesterday, knocked down the masonry that surrounded the vault to uncover a further room. The room inside the vault was another steel box. We was kind of looking at it as builders. We was like, yeah, we fucking put a sofa there, and we can put some props in here, and we can do this, and we can do that, and we can cut here and cut this. But truth be told, we need a specialist on this thing. We need to get a specialist to come and remove this. We could have quite easily tried to wing it and hope for the best. But it's what is that captions thing? I've not seen that before. Thanks, Andy. It would have been so easy to try and go at this thing and wing it, maybe to save a few bob. But truth is, we've got to get specialists in for this thing. We've never done it before. We've never taken a vault out before. We're not all experts in all things. How much do you like to think we are?
So with what I mean by a square metre rate as approach to pricing is, there are people out there, there are investors out there that go and measure up the building. They measure the floor space. So it might be 7 metres across the front and 7 metres down the side, giving you 49 square metres. Over 2 floors, giving you 98 square metres. And then they apply a multiplier to that number. The one I see get banded around is 250 quid. So people, let's say it's 100 square metres, 100 square metre property. That multiplier is being applied to, we're looking at a 25 grand refurb, there or thereabouts, 98 times 250. And the size of the property there's no relationship between the size of the property and what works need to be done in that property. If it's 100 square metres, how does that tell you how much plastering needs to be done? How does it tell you whether the wiring needs to be done? How does it tell you whether it needs a new boiler or a new roof? It doesn't. The two things are completely and utterly, there is no relationship that exists between the two. The only thing that the square metres of the property is any use for is pricing up painting and plastering of the ceilings and how much carpet you need. That's pretty much it. You can't go into this thing, go into property refurbishment, into development, using this approach to pricing up your work. It just doesn't work. You're going to lose your shirt doing it in this way, in this manner. When you're buying property, you're buying for a fee. Not much else can go wrong when you're selling. Again, you're going to be selling for a fee, and there or thereabouts, you're going to know what that number's going to be post refurbishment. The variable, the thing that's going to move throughout the project before you start, during and after, is going to be the cost of the refurbishment works. The refurbishment works that you carry out, the piece of work that you're going to do in order to add the value to make your profit. That's the variable. That's the thing you got to manage. That's the thing that's not in your control at that point. Well, it is in your control to a degree. It's about managing that budget, managing that spend, and managing that project throughout the whole thing, the whole process.
I just bumped into a homeowner. He was sweeping his drive and he come out and he recognised me from this, which was weird. Anyway, we got to chatting and he showed me his drive. He just had his drive done, block paved done. And he clocked me, he says, "What do you think to this, Paul?" And we started having the crack. And he says, "Look at what the fucking builder's done. Look at that grass they've left like that." And I was like, "Well, what did you ask them to do, mate?" "Well, they've been and done the block paving and look, they fucked my lawn. They can't leave it like that." I said, "Well, they ain't fucked your lawn, mate. There's just, I can see that they've seeded it. What do you want them to do?" He said, "Well, they should have tarmacked it, or they should have concreted it." Then we get into,
Morning, Andy. Then we get into, well, did you ask him to tarmac or concrete that thing? Or is this just an expectation that you have that they haven't met? Did you speak to the guy? Did you speak to the builder about it? He said, yeah, I've told him I'm not paying him. And I was like, whoa. So he's not paying this guy for this block paving because they damaged his grass ultimately. He was proper fucking raging, this guy. And to be fair, there was nothing wrong with his grass. Give it to the end of spring. I'm no grass expert, but it'll be back. And he's withholding payment from this guy. What you think's of this? I'm of the opinion that if you wanted that piece tarmacking or concreting, then you need to pay for that work. But to withhold the builder's payment, I'll tell you what he'll do. He'll come back and he'll take the fucking drive up. People get very particular about their blasted grass. Yeah, there's so many things you could have done with it, but outside of what they were there to do becomes extra. Can't ask a guy to come and block pave something and then expect an area of lawn to be tarmacked or concrete. That's big money. This particular area was anyway. You know, I used to get this a lot when I was doing extensions. You put the extension up and, well, what are you going to do with all the ground around it? Well, we can landscape it for you, but that's going to be extra. You know, we'll rake it flat and seed it. But beyond that, I don't know what you expect. I don't know what you expect to happen. It's one of the reasons we moved out of the domestic space. Do I need a contract with my builder? For me, it seems, I'm in the industry, so I know, but for me, it seems like a really stupid question. Like, really stupid. But with that said, I'm a big believer in there's no such thing as a stupid question, because they're just things that we don't know. So do I need a contract with my builder? Ultimately, the answer is yes. So if that's answered your question, you can stop listening. However, if not, and you want to hear the whys and wherefores, do stay on. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this as I talk as well. So do drop any questions or any comments as I'm rattling away. The question I have to pose back is, if you join a gym or a video shop, do you still have video shops? I don't think they do. But when we used to have Blockbuster Video and places like that, you'd sign into a contract. You sign into a contract of a 30 quid gym membership, or 25 if you're fortunate like me. If you're one of the more affluent folk in the world, you may be paying 100 at David Lloyd or something like that. This is not a gym call out. And then within that contract, you're going to know what you get as a result of that payment, of that contract. Let's use the gym membership again. So for my money, what do I get? What do I get for that money? Do I get nutritional advice? Do I get PTs? Do I get to come unrestricted in terms of time? Can I come in the morning, in the evening, in the afternoon, 24/7? Does it include swimming? Does it include massage, physio sessions, sunbeds, saunas, whirlpools? All these other things. So all them other things I've just described are all specification. They're all the items that you get for the price. So my 25 quid buys that price. Now we're going to move on to time. Let's look at time. How long is that membership for? Do I pay monthly? Or is it an annual membership? Is it quarterly membership? Do I pay as I go, pay per session? So we've looked at what we get in the spec. The spec's going to tell us what we get. And the time's going to tell us for how long, when those payments are due. Then we'll look at the price, obviously. So the price is based upon the spec and the time. And that's the same on a construction project. If you're leading the contract, that is, as clients. If you are just signing the builder's contract, signing the builder's terms, accepting his quote, it's likely the only thing that you're accepting, should I say, is the price. So they shoot over a price and say, this is your quote. Based on largely nothing, and very rarely do they put a time period to that. And those two things are really important. As clients, you must establish what that price is based upon in terms of specification, in terms of products, in terms of service, and in what time period is it based upon also. You need to establish both of those things before that price means anything, before that price can be based upon something. You must also include other things into that contract, such as payment terms, when I'm going to get paid, when am I going to pay, what's going to be the signing off procedure, all sorts of things like this. What's going to be a variation procedure, so what will we do in the event of something cropping up, etc, etc. I could talk about this all day. All day. So the short answer is yes, you do. Yes, you do need it. You need it whether you're using one-man bands, sole traders, or single-point construction companies, project managers, whatever that is. You must establish what it is that you're buying, what it is that you're paying for. Or how can you know? How can you know what that price is based upon without that? A guy has shared a video in my Facebook group this morning. It's an old one, I've seen it before. But he shared it all the same, and it was a guy that's not been paid off an external landscaping job. Fencing, patio, some gates and some block paving. And the client's not paid him for whatever reason, doesn't go into the reason. Builder's just gone round and ripped it all out, like proper ripped it out, put hammers through everything and just fucked the lot. Now, like I said, this can be a bit of a divisive topic. Most builders and trades don't like to hear this. But this is my take on it. If you're going to do that, if you're going to not get paid and then go and rip it all out, guess what? You're still not going to get fucking paid. So what was the point in doing it? I understand the thought process, believe me, I do. I understand the sort of the mindset of that. I've been there myself. I've been knocked twice. I got knocked once on a roof render and windows job. I say I got knocked, that's wrong. I'm not going to say that. We had a client, it was a 45k job, big job, 45 grand job, and the customer came to do the snagging. For those that don't know, that's the checking off to make sure that they're happy with everything. They were aluminium windows, and the customer found a scratch on a sill, on one of the window sills. And she said, I'm not paying until you've sorted out that scratch on that sill. 45 grand for a fucking scratch on a sill. I was raging. Fucking raging. I literally wanted to go around, hack off all the render, pull a roof off, and rag her windows back out. That was where my head was at the time. I'm going back 2.5 years now. You know, the team are like, listen, if you do that, we're not going to get anything. And I was kind of like, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to pull it all off. It's all coming back out. She can't do this. And quite rightly, she can't. So what we done, we got the magic man round. Surface repair, for those that don't know what that is. Surface repair, went round and made the windowsill good. And we got paid a couple of weeks later. Now imagine if, yes, I was pissed off for 2 weeks, like genuinely. Pissed off for 2 weeks about not getting paid and having this money not being paid to us, a lot of money. Now, the thing with that is that I had gone and done what I wanted to do, I'd have got nothing. I wouldn't have been paid anything at all, ever. And it would have actually cost me 45 grand to go rip that stuff out, plus what it cost me to actually rip it out. We had another guy, soffit and fascia, as part of a larger, wider project. We was doing the soffit and fascia, and he said, I didn't ask for that. Thankfully, we had the terms and conditions and the variation instruction signed and in place to prove that we did do that, and we ended up taking him to court. Again, I wanted to go down and pull it down, genuinely. So I do understand guys that want to do this, but just consider when your clients are knocking you, when your clients are not paying you, find out the reason why. Find out the reason why you're not getting paid. And if it's bollocks, if it's bullshit, start a process. Small claims, whatever it needs to be. Might be a large claim. But don't go ripping it out, because then you'll never get nothing. And it actually costs you money to rip it out. Look at it logically and not emotionally. So this particular chap, we've just fitted the kitchen and we're at the final knock-ins now. I think we've just got decorating and carpets to go. I think, yeah, that's it. And this guy has been to do a site visit last week, and he's seen the kitchen that we fitted. He provided the kitchen, we just fitted it. And he said, Paul, I don't like that worktop. I was like, all right, you picked it, mate. Yeah, but I don't like it. So he's fitted this plain white worktop, and it's on like a greeny coloured carcass. I think it's called sage. it looks okay. But this guy's selling this property. So he's bought it with a view to add value to then sell at a profit, which, as he sits right now, is going to make him a profit. So he's commented that this worktop, he don't like it. And he now wants us to change this worktop for a different white worktop with like a marbly, greyy vein running through it. You know the sort. It's not plain white, but it's got like that. Looks like smoke. Looks like there's smoke inside the white. And we was like, why do you want to do that? You know, the sink's been fitted, the cut-out hob's been fitted. So the worktop that we've been fitted now is in, and you want us to go put another worktop in for what purpose? Well, can you just give me a price for it? So we're going, it's going to be 700 quid. So we've put 700 quid in to replace this worktop, supply and fit. Got to get plumber back, and we've got to get Lecky back, Sparky back, to do the oven, hob, and do the sink. So I kind of asked myself, why has he made this decision? I go, mate, you're selling it. Why do you care what the fucking worktop is for someone that's moving in? If they're that bothered, they'll change it themselves. But you're now going to take on another 700 quid of cost on your project to provide a different worktop. Not a better worktop, not a nicer worktop, just a different worktop. And you're going to take on that cost to reduce your own profit. Why doing that? And he's like, well, I like to provide beautiful homes for people. Which I kind of get, but we're in this for a business, right? I hear this a lot, I want to provide beautiful homes for people. But don't forget, whilst you're doing that, you've got to make a profit in doing so, or there's no fucking point in doing it.
Do you pay your builder up front in advance of the work? Been having a bit of back and forth with a chap. Excuse me. With a chap this morning that's wholly against this and believes that you shouldn't be paying builders in advance for anything. Now, here's my personal take on this, is that in my own construction company, we apply a deposit to book the time in my business's diary. So let's say that we was about to do 20 grand's worth of work from you. We'd want some money in advance of that starting so that we can secure that slot in our diary. That's a business decision that my business has made to ensure that I can continue with work. And there's some commitment from a client to actually go ahead with the work. Now, the guy I've been chatting with, his take is that you shouldn't be paying in advance because payment terms that builders can negotiate with their supply chain means that it's not necessary. Now, unless the item is bespoke, I'm going to kind of agree with what he said. However, for me, it's not about that. It's not about the buying of the gear. It's about securing the time in my diary. Because not only are there people out there that are going to, tradesmen, builders out there that are going to do a runner with people's money. That does happen. That is out there. But there are also clients that cancel on you last minute. And then you're fucked. If I had a 30 grand job booked into my diary, that on the day we was due to start, they just changed their mind or went with someone else or whatever reason didn't go ahead, then that's going to cause me a real issue in my business, a real issue. I've got staff and materials, I've got vans, etc., all assigned and allocated to that job, costed out for it, to then be told that I'll die in death or we're not going to go ahead. Now, if I've got a deposit off that person, I'm either, there's a little bit of commitment from them to start with, so, that cancellation's unlikely. But also there's that money that we would keep we would keep as a result of that cancellation to be able to offset those losses as a result of the cancellation. So that's the reason that we do it. But should you pay your builder up front is the question, I guess. Now, this is all going to be boiling down to your appetite for risk here. Now, what's the relationship with the builder? How comfortable are you with the contract that's in place? How comfortable are you with that guy that's doing the work? And most importantly, an overall thing for me is what's in here. What does that say? What does your gut tell you? What does your gut tell you? That's where it all comes from, in there. Not in here. In your stomach. What does that tell you? Is this guy going to do a flip with my money? Or am I okay with paying him some money up front to secure that time in his diary, to allow him to go buy any bespoke items? It's a real. I don't suppose there is a right or wrong answer here. Morning, Mo. There's no right or wrong answer here. I'd love to hear your comments and your thoughts on it. Do fire them into the chat, fire them into the comments. I'd love to hear what you think about this.
You know, what does the relationship that you're building with this guy tell you about whether you should or should not pay that guy in advance for anything? Morning, Slav. You know, there's always going to be a point where your gut says, do you know what, I'm not right with this guy. Then you maybe not pay that. There may be a point where you go, do you know what, this guy's on the money. I like this guy. Let's shoot him some deposit. Let's secure the time in his diary. Let's do what he expects. Like I said, there's no right or wrong here. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to hear your comments, your opinions on this, on what you would do. I'm not saying you start shooting in 10, 20, 30 grand in advance of a project. You want to be, you know, it wants not a token gesture, I would say. I would say something, you know, that holds you accountable as a client and allows that relationship to start building. That's what I would say. That'd be what I would be looking for, and that'd be what I would advise to others as well.
How much should I be paying for this extension? I want to have an extension on my property. Can someone give me a ballpark? Can someone give me this? Am I paying too much? Am I paying too much for this extension? All these questions. Good morning all. All these questions that come in various Facebook groups that I'm a member of. And I feel for you guys that are asking. There's that trepidation and there's that, am I getting ripped off? Am I paying too much? And I get it, I get the question. But here's the truth. Most builders will price up your extension using the dreaded square metre rate. With little information, they'll be able to do that. With very little. And what I mean by pricing it up using a square metre rate is this. They'll look at the footprint of what you're proposing to build. Let's say it's going to be 3 metres across the back and 3 metres projected from the rear of the property. It's a single story, so that's 9 square metres. 3 by 3 is 9. With that figure of 9, it's then given a multiplier of X to give you a price for your extension. And that, generally speaking, is just going to be for a plastered shell. Again, what I mean by that is the masonry up, the roof on, your first fix plumbing and electrics inside, and then plastered. That's generally what that rate is going to include. Now, when I see people asking what they should be paying, asking those questions that I asked at the beginning of this video, what should I be paying? When you're asking in these Facebook groups, you're asking in the wrong place. Because the responses that you're going to get are going to be based on somebody else's experience, based on somebody else's previous extension, which may have no, what's the word I'm looking for? May have no bear no relevance to the one that you're doing. Because the truth is this, some builders will build for £1,100-1,200 a square metre. Those builders are generally going to be a one-man band that's going to bring in a labourer and pay him cash that is found on Facebook. And it's going to take 3 times longer than anybody else. And if you're okay with that, then that's okay. Or you may go to someone around in the middle that's going to want £1,600 a square metre. So you can see the price has gone up there. But what will happen is you're going to get a better quality. Generally speaking now, obviously can't put everybody in the same bracket here. You're going to get higher quality. It will be finished quicker. And you may have some sort of comeback. Some sort of warranty, some sort of they're going to come back and fix shit that goes wrong, perhaps goes wrong. And then you've got a higher end that might be 2,000 plus per square metre. Maybe I've seen them as high as 2-3, and again that's okay. But what I would expect when we be paying that is really high quality, done really quickly, and you know, sort of a warranty coming with it. I'd expect to pay VAT. And these are the 3 levels of, they're not 3 rates, but these are things that you must consider. You must consider the level of service that you're getting for what it is that you're paying, and not just, I can get it cheaper. Because yes, you can get it cheaper. This is not about anybody trying to rip anybody off, because a standard rate doesn't exist. All those 3 different rates I've just talked about there are all relative to the size of the company that you approach. They're relative to geography, relative to whereabouts in the country you're actually buying that thing from. You're not going to buy an extension for the same price in Middlesex as what you would in Middlesbrough. They'll be streets apart, in fact more likely double. So you can't just go into these groups and ask, am I paying too much for this thing? Because we know nothing about the person you've approached. We know nothing about the inquiry that you've made. We know nothing about whereabouts in the country that it is a lot of the time. So that's how extensions get priced up. That's fact. What you must try and ascertain is what's the type of company and the type of service that you're looking for in order to get that extension built. Yes, you can buy this thing on the cheap, you absolutely can, and pay £1,000 a square metre, but that will not be done quickly. It will not be done to a high standard, and you're not going to get anybody back if there's any issues thereafter in the future, and they might not finish it either. And also, yes, you can pay 2.3, 2.4, 2.5 even per square metre to get that higher quality service, that higher quality finish, that speed, that if that's important to you, you want someone committed to a job 100% and not leave site until it's done, that'd be the service that I'd be looking for. And this is not one ripping off another. This is not someone that's saying, right, my rates are 2.5 a square metre now, and then therefore that guy's a rip-off. I hear that a lot. This guy's trying to rip me off, and he's not trying to rip you off. That's just his rate. If that's too expensive for you, then go somewhere else that's cheaper and buy a lesser service. I hope that makes sense. It's a bit like buying three different types of holiday, right? You have all-inclusive holidays, you have bed and breakfast, and you have somewhere in the middle, the half board. I never get half board. Don't actually know what that means. But you get the gist. The 3 different levels of service going to come with 3 different prices. All relative to the level of service, all relative to the geography. And just know this as well when you're putting that inquiry over. When you're asking for these prices, let's say a square metre rate comes back that meets with your expectation. So you're kind of happy with paying, let's say you're paying 2k a square metre. Be 100% clear and 100% knowing what you get for that. Because another thing I hear a lot of is, oh, the builder's put the shell up and now he wants extra for the doors. Now he wants extra for the windows. So you must know what that 2k buys you, exactly what it buys you. Is it buying you the shell, the roof? Is it buying you the doors, the windows? Some may even think that it's buying them the patio. You just got to be really, really clear in your inquiry, really, really clear in what specification and contract you sign into as a result of buying that service.